All right, so ready to kick off with the last of our showings on stage today. We saved the best for last, so we got Chef Chris Vasquez. Over 20 years of professional cooking experience and 12 years honed in California at various restaurants, including Wolfgang Puck. Um, just an absolute stud of a chef. I got to meet Chris when I first moved to New Orleans at Redfish Grill, and now have the honor of working with him over at Ralph's on the Park. And really just, when you talk about like understanding the values of New Orleans, the passion of culture, he sources over 90% of his product from Louisiana. So the main importance of one of the things that we do is looking at working with local fishermen, shrimpers, and keeping forward on the culture along the Gulf, and that we're supporting our fishermen and our shrimpers, and nobody does it quite like Chef Chris.
All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for just showing up. It's what a wonderful day it is today at the convention, the showcase. It is fantastic. We got Bocuse behind us. We've got the cooking competition on the other side, the Great American, and now we have a little presentation. We're going to show you what we do here. Once again, I am from Ralph's in the Park, and Ralph's in the Park is nested in City Park, right across from City Park. My personal opinion, the best view of the whole entire city. You come over to our restaurant, you sit down, you have a lovely meal, but not only do you have a lovely meal, you have an absolutely beautiful view always. And the two together, the ambiance with the cuisine and the service that we have at Ralph's in the Park, is unparalleled to anywhere in the whole entire city and probably the whole nation. And it's an honor to work there, and it's an honor to here today to show you what we do there. At Ralph's in the Park, what we try to do is we do modern Louisiana food. Modern Louisiana food, what do people ask, what modern Louisiana food? What we do is we try to take a lot of the old recipes that we've had, things that we've had here in Louisiana for a long time, and it's really just brighten them up. A little better presentation, a little bit lighter dish, a little bit more things that are around us in our environment. Luckily for us in Louisiana, we have the best seafood in the whole entire city, which fortune provides for us. We are serving what I consider the caviar of Louisiana today. We are serving jumbo lump crab. I mean, you cannot get anything better in the whole world than jumbo lump crab to me, anywhere. We're about to reach the peak season of it. Peak season for jumbo lump crab is August to October. So most of the year it's very expensive, but prices do drop during this time frame. So I would suggest anybody to get out there and try to get you some jumbo lump crab. So today what we're doing is kind of a little bit of my heritage a little bit. I'm originally come from a Cuban family, but they came from Spain. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a golden gazpacho here today. Gazpacho to me is probably one of a must-have for me for the summer, especially living here in New Orleans. It's so hot outside. I know you come in the convention center, you really cool off. The air conditioning here is pretty cold. But if you go outside, you are craving something that's going to be fresh, spontaneous, and something that's really going to lift your spirits. And that's, to me, is what food is all about. It's about listening to your experience, lifting your spirits every day, making you get through the day, and what you put inside you is how you live your life. That's how I look at it. So, golden gazpacho. It's a little bit different than a normal gazpacho. It's a little lighter, a little fresher. What's the difference? Gazpacho is like one of those things that I think is fantastic because you can make it so many different variations. A golden gazpacho is using lighter ingredients, which is what we use is yellow tomatoes, yellow bell peppers, all the light ingredients from the summer to really give it an uplift and really give it a little bit more, I guess, fresh feel that you would have for it. And once again, like we said before, we try to harvest all the things from Louisiana. We try to get our items from Louisiana. So right now, heirloom tomatoes are going to start being, they have already started being really predominant in and around New Orleans, and it's been a fantastic experience. So what I get heirloom tomatoes and stuff like that, and I pick out all the yellow ones. I use pull out all the yellow ones from my environment, and we get them all, we gather them up, and then we get our bell peppers and all. The reason why tomatoes, and right now is probably the greatest time for tomatoes, is so good during the summer is because they're sweet. They're sweet because of the sun and the long days that we have. The longer the day we have, the better off they are. The sun really helps bring out the sugars and the sweetness, so I really don't have to add a lot of different things to it. One of the most important things you have to do when you are cooking is use ingredients at their peak season and use them when they're the best for that particular item. And once again, tomatoes, all the ingredients that we use in here today are fresh ingredients that are great for the summertime, that utilizes Mother Nature. I've always told everybody my particular job is to utilize Mother Nature at its peak, and if I can do that, everything else is pretty easy. So we kind of go from there. Today I'll be showing a little bit more of a modern item here today. It's a Thermomix, all right? This particular item here we have purchased and we use at the restaurant. Has many different things to it. Some people are going to tell me I'm a salesperson for this company, but I just love the product so much and I want to show everybody what it does. So this particular item can actually literally cook for you. One of the reasons we use it at Ralph's in the Park is that I can take this item, I can set it at a certain temperature, and I take all my ingredients. What we'll be showing you today is one of the ingredients we do is we make our own spices. We don't make our own spices by adding like things that are already ground. What we do is we toast Latin peppers, we toast peppercorns, cumin seeds, anything I can get whole, I toast myself. So I can set this machine at 140 Fahrenheit. It will toast it and grind it at the same time. And what we end up getting is a fresh product here that we use in our restaurant that's not overcooked, not or too dark, too spicy or anything like that. We get the perfect texture. You can place recipes in here. You can do like caramel sauce and stuff like that. It will literally cook for you. All right, get back into the food, all right? So what I normally do with gazpacho is I like to take, but we're doing it a little quick today, I like to take all the ingredients and marinate them for a little while so they really get all the flavors and everything here. So normally we would take this, we put it into a bowl, we mix all the ingredients together, we put the spices, we put the vinegars, and then we let it marinate for a little while. Today we're going to do a quick step. We're going to put everything into here. The ones that you will be tasting that we send out to everybody after have been made that way, but I just want to show you a quick version of what we do here. So in general, what we do is, like I said before, we take the heirloom tomatoes, we pick all the yellow ones out, and I've got heirloom tomatoes here. I dump my heirloom tomatoes inside my Thermomix. And then from here, we have a bunch of different ingredients. We have sweet spring onions here. Sweet spring onions are a little bit different than a whole onion. They just bring a little bit, I would say, less of the pungent flavor that an onion would have, and it kind of just sweetens out, mellow, perfect this time of year. We add sweet onions in here as well. Now, gazpacho is one of those dishes that, in general, it takes maybe 30 minutes to make. It'll be fantastic. You can serve it at any kind of event you have, gatherings, or just want a refresh day for yourself. It'll be great. So everything else we mix. I got champagne vinegar here. We're going to add that in. A spice mixture right here today. This is a spice mixture that I actually call, it's like our Cajun mix. There's a bunch of different bell peppers and stuff like that we use. Dried peppers, Latin, peppercorns, cumin, coriander, and we toast them all off and then we grind them up for in here. So it's always good to have a great spice here in New Orleans. And don't always forget your salt as well. We put a little salt in there to mix it all in. On this side, celery. Celery is another item that's great during the summertime, really becomes in. I use the heart of a celery. People always ask, what's the heart of the celery? Heart of the celery is the inner side. It's the lightest color of all the celery. Celery hearts are the parts that almost look white that actually have the leaves on it. If you don't use the leaves, you should. The leaves are fantastic. You pull them on the side. You can use those for garnish. They actually create a lot of flavor with the leaves. They're edible, and I've always loved them. We've got some celery in here. We go with a cucumber as well. And then we got yellow bell pepper. Yellow bell pepper that we put in. that we also get. It's great this time of year. A little more tomato to finish it off. So then all we do, we put Thermomix back top, back on. There's still 3 different settings. Now, if I want to keep this cold, which I do, I will hit the temperature setting on here and make sure it just stays cold the whole time. When you mix a lot of things, they start to get warm because the machine is working. That's one of the great uses of this machine. You can put it on a certain temperature, it will hold that temperature, and then I don't have to worry about everything. So I set the temperature here. Now, if you want to walk away, you can set a timer on here, but we're just standing here, so I'll set the speed. I hit the speed, it will clamp down. And what you always want to do with something like this is you always want to start off at a slow speed. And you always want to make sure you have the top on, because it will spill all over. So I've always started at a slow speed. Okay. Start at a slow speed, and I keep on moving my way up to it. I start at a slow speed, I probably go halfway through, and see how you can see the table is like shaking and all. You know, it's not mixed that well. And so what you want to do is just kind of slowly build your way up to this. Now, you don't have to worry about the temperature because the already temperature is set at this thing, and then you just keep on moving along.
Jeff, if someone doesn't have one of these, how would they keep the temperature monitored? Would they add into a blender ice cubes, or what's the best way about keeping that temperature low with all that friction?
Well, it's the same thing. I would say, yeah, if you want to keep the temperature low, you just set it on this here, and it will never get higher. The thing keeps it actually cold. You could actually literally make ice cream in here.
If they just had a blender at home, though, if they didn't have
add
this.
blender at home. Absolutely. If you're doing a blender at home, what you want to do as quick as possible, but yes, add a little cold items to it. It's best, say something like gazpacho. It would be best to marinate it, let it sit in the refrigerator for a while, and then blend it. That way, you know that it will stay cold. Work in small batches, that's always important too. Work in a small batch, keep it cold, blend it, and then keep on moving on from there. Great question.
I was curious about the spices. You talked about toasting them and that you toast them at a certain temperature. How would I go about toasting spices in a pan or making sure that it has the right aromatics? Like, when do I know when I'm toasting something that it's done, if I'm not using something that has temperature control?
Great question, which I teach in my restaurant as well. The most important thing is, to me, is temperature, right? So I always try to cook things at a low temperature in case if I become too busy and you get sidetracked for different things. So I personally toast like if I want to toast a crouton or if I want to toast spices or something like that, I toast it at like 225. That way I know that it will dry it out, get it the nice crispy flavor that I want without the urgency of me running back to it in case if I forget it for a couple minutes. But that's what we always do. I teach it in a restaurant, the same thing. It's always important to keep things at a lower temperature and rather go a long period of time than short period of time.
A little bit of slow and low.
Slow and low. It always works, right? So as we're going, as you were seeing, it was shaking a lot before, but now we're starting to mix it up. It will shoot stuff out at you. Make sure you wear an apron, some eye protection maybe. All right. So I always like to keep a high mix on it, probably somewhere close to like a minute or something like that. And we have a timer right on here. That way you get a nice mixture, you get the flavor infused throughout the whole entire gazpacho. And I think that's the most important thing. What we're doing here is we're marrying the flavors. And what you want to do is marry the flavors properly and mix them really well, and that's the best scenario that you get. All right.
You predominantly had used raw ingredients or marinated. If I was to, let's say, use cooked onions, would that take away from it being a gazpacho? Or if it's cool, would it still be a gazpacho? What's the rule of thumb?
You know, gazpacho can be, and like a lot of cooking, you can do what you like to do and what works for you. My personal opinion about gazpacho is why I love it so much is it brings fresh ingredients, you know. When you start cooking stuff and you start getting the caramelization flavors in it, it kind of brings down the freshness, and that's the reason why I wouldn't do it. Same thing, and that's a great question. It's the same thing with the roasted peppers and all. They do the same thing with roasted peppers. You can add roasted peppers, and you can make a roasted pepper gazpacho and all, and it will be delicious. It just takes away from a little of the freshness that you would get from the raw ingredients. Also, too, a lot of ingredients, too. So me as a chef, I think one of my biggest responsibility is to nourish people and to give them nutrition, you know? And when you start cooking items and stuff like that, you really do start taking away some of the vitamins and all. And in different items in different ways, I like to keep all the ingredients, all the vegetables, all the vitamins in it, and really try to nourish people as well. I think that is a big part of what I do and how I really approach my day.
You bring up a good point, is like the higher quality ingredient that you're using and the more vitamins and nutrients that you're getting, the more satiating it is. So it's like, you know, if you go out somewhere and you eat something that wouldn't be so good for you, you might eat a lot of it and then not feel so good later. But it takes more time for your palate to understand that, you know, you need more nutrients. But something like Chef is doing here, and they do at Ralph's in the Park, is they're giving you such fresh and such clean ingredients that are so well sourced that you're ending up that you're having a meal and you're feeling well satiated, and you're leaving not feeling heavy or sluggish or tired. You're leaving like you've really been taken care of, and that's a major part of Chef and his cuisine and the reason that he is where he is today.
Absolutely. It's the key for anything. You cannot make silver out of gold or gold out of silver. You got to work with the best ingredients. And luckily for us in Louisiana, we are so fortunate to have the seafood that we have here, to have the ingredients we have here, and have the people who actually want it. And that's the most important thing. We have the people here who actually want that cuisine, and they want to see it. And that's the joy of being able to cook, especially at Ralph's in the Park. I deal with locals mainly. It's 80% of my crowd. And I love cooking for the people in Louisiana because at the end of the day, people in Louisiana know how to eat. And it's enjoyable to be able to be a part of that. All right? Now, we're going to start going to plating, a presentation of the dish. We have a couple more ingredients here that we're going to deal with. Like I said already, I just want to keep on bringing fresh ingredients, fresh bites, and everything to a dish. When you have a dish and you create a dish, you have to think of so many different components. You got to think about texture, and and more depth of flavor. And you only get more depth of flavor in general with more ingredients you add to your plate. So what we have here, it's a little bit more of a modern scenario. They used to call these things like coulis and stuff like that, but now we call them gels. It's intense flavors of purees of items that we bring together. These days we use an item called agar-agar. It is a plant-based gelatin that will helps out your food. It's much better than a lot of items, and it brings a nice fresh thing to it. So what we have here is we take basil and jalapeno. We take basil, jalapeno, we boil them together, then we shock them, we make a liquid out of it, we mix our agar-agar with it, and then we have a basil gel here. Can we see it on the shop? All right. So we do the basil gel on the bottom here. We put it all on the side, on just one side, so we can get a nice flavor. I've always thought it was very important when you're building your food is to be able to have different aspects of it. You can taste it with it, we can taste out of it, you can bring it inside of it, and all those other different items there. So then a little bit more unconventional, I guess you people would say. I use fresh melon. We use cantaloupe, we use honeydew, but this time of year you can really get a bunch of different varieties of melons that you can use. They even have one called lemon drop. If you go to your local farmer's market, which we should all support, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, I'm in the city, we should all support it. If you go to the one at Sunday, it's right across the street from Ralph's, come on by, say hello, get a little something to eat. That'd be fantastic. Alrighty? So what I'm gonna do here is I garnish my dish here. I've got a melon ball. Melon ball is a little item that we use. It looks fantastic, it's easy to use, and you look like a pro when you're using it, if that's what you look for, you know? All right, so I've got my basil gel down. I've got my melon coming across. And we just garnish it on one side of the plate here. On top of this, we're going to put down a watermelon radish, which are beautiful. They give a nice texture, a nice bite. They give a little bit more spice to the plate. It's a beautiful addition. These are all items that are just fantastic this time of year that you get to have. Then we come back through a little cherry tomato on here for a little bit more texture. And it gives a plate just a fantastic look to it. It's bright, colorful, delicious. And then our caviar of the South, which I call jumbo lump crab. Jumbo lump crab, once again, probably the best thing around. If I had to pick one seafood item that I couldn't do without, you know, they're gonna put me on an island, I can only eat one thing, it's gonna be jumbo lump crab. It's fantastic. Then we finish it off here. We take a little microgreens. Once again, microgreens, you can get them anywhere. At the farmer's market, they have all kinds of different sprouts these days. You buy the sprouts, you get them, you trim them up. They're absolutely wonderful. And they bring a lot of flavor to it. There's all kinds of different flavors these days. You can get ones that are spicy, you can get arugula, you can get pretty much anything you really want out of it. And so at the end, what we're going to do, I will say this, the most important part of cooking is to taste your food. No matter, and I always tell everybody, if you take a recipe, anywhere you would take a recipe from, you take it from the internet, from, you know, your family members, whoever it is, recipes are guidelines because food is always going to be different. Tomatoes are going to be different size, and eggs are different size, and it's different times of year, different things are going to taste different. This time of year, I don't have to add sugar to this. If I was going to make this in May, I would have to add sugar to get the flavor I want. I'm not going to make during May, but that's just a case scenario. If it's too sweet sometimes, you actually have to add a little bit more salt to balance it out, or a little bit more spice. So it's always important to taste it. I'm from Louisiana. I'm not originally from Louisiana, but I've been here long enough to consider myself from Louisiana now. I like spice. So I'm always going to add a little bit more spice to it. And that way I get a little depth and flavor. To me, the worst review I could possibly have is a bland review. Somebody says your food is bland, I want to throw something against the wall like an old chef, you know? So once again, you blend it up. One more time, you make sure you taste your food, you make sure it's vibrant, make sure it's bright, and make sure it's the way you want it to be. Because to me, at the end of the day, your food is the best representation of yourself and where you come from and what you do. There is no right or wrong, as far as I'm concerned. It's just how you want to present the food that you do.
Chef, you're a huge fan of jumbo lump crab. Do you think that there's a taste difference between jumbo lump and lump? Is it more presentation? It's a different working muscle, so I don't know if you think it has a different flavor profile as well.
The difference a lot of times to me, I'll be very honest, is how long I'm picking the shells out of it, you know? Jumbo lump crab's gonna have no shells. But beyond that, jumbo lump crab's gonna have a great bite to it every time. The less you actually handle a lot of things, I consider the better they are. And the jumbo lump crab just comes off in little nuggets, and there's less handling you do with the jumbo lump crab. When you get all the other crab, there's a lot more handling to it, so it kind of breaks it up so much. And it's, once you start breaking things up a little bit, the freshness starts to disappear as much. It's still fantastic. Now, to tell you the truth, if I had to take a choice between lump crab or claw, I would probably take claw 90% of the time. 90% of the time, claw has a lot more flavor to it than a lump would, but to me, jumbo lump crab is the caviar, you know? All right, so right now, I don't know if you can see it on the thing. How we do it? All right, here we go. We've got the lump crab, we've got our gel on the side, we've got melons, we've got all that. It's a beautiful plate, little presentation here. What we're going to do is pour a little bit in a bowl here. And then we just kind of slide it on one side only. So you can see the different colors. Don't spill it all over the side like I am. But if you do, you can always recover with a little towel. So now, if you take a look in the inside, you have a nice presentation of a wonderful summer item. All right.
Do we have any questions for Chef? I can pass this mic around. Just excited to eat. We're going to be setting up a couple bowls back there, and then we'll be lining them up over here. I'll talk a little bit about Fortune Fish and Gourmet and what this is D'Artagnan over here. So Fortune Fish and Gourmet is a meat and seafood distributor. Started in Chicago in 1985, and it was founded by Sean O'Scanlan. He really cared about white tablecloth chefs and making sure that they were providing the highest quality seafood and freshness. As time went on and things developed, Fortune grew, and they looked and they brought on other brands like D'Artagnan, which is all about farm to table. So a lot of things that like Chef looks for when he's sourcing is how are animals raised. You're talking about land animals and how they're raised. If they're raised right, you give them the best quality life. At the end of the day, you get the best quality ingredients. And working alongside with our Louisiana chefs, that's really what they're sourcing from. Just like Chef was saying, you're looking for the freshest ingredients, the brightest ingredients, but also the ones that are most satiating, the most nourishing. And that comes from sourcing the highest quality ingredients. So been a great partnership here and across with Louisiana, making sure we're taking care of the shrimpers and with our Gulf fishermen as well. Maintaining strong relationships it's pivotal for the growth of the community and for us to see the next generations. All right, well, we'll get some of these dishes coming out. Chef, what about some of your history? Tell us a little bit about you being in California, that when you first came to New Orleans, and the transition of your career.
I will say I've been very fortunate in my life. I've been fortunate enough to have opportunity and take opportunity. I was born in Boston, came down here when I was a teenager. I got a phone call over the phone to get a job with Wolfgang Puck in Malibu to start. It was fantastic. It was a fantastic opportunity, but opportunity, you have to take advantage of it, right? So I sold everything I had, jumped on a plane, and I moved with the duffel bag, and I got a job with Wolfgang Puck and moved to Malibu. Actually, I moved to Venice Beach, but worked in Malibu. Shortly after that, we opened up Spago Beverly Hills. I went to that area as well. And then I stayed with Wolfgang for 9 years. After that particular sit, I did a couple small things, and then after working 16 hours a day for 6 to 7 days a week, I felt like it was time to take a little bit of break. I was very fortunate to get into the private chef industry. Had a lot of high-end clientele. Got to travel a lot of the world. Been to Dubai, France, London, all kinds of different places. And then it was time to come back home, which I consider Louisiana, New Orleans my home. Wanted to get back in the restaurant industry. I came back to New Orleans. I first started off with Donald Link. I worked with Butcher Cochon and Cal Cashew. And then shortly after a year, I joined the Ralph Brennan Group. Really came home because before I left, I was working at Mr. B's, and that was a particular time that Ralph was still involved with Mr. B's. Came back home per se, and then in this city, I've done, like I said, Cochon and all, and then I started off at Redfish, and I ran the catering division, then I went back to Redfish, ran that division, and now I'm at Ralph's in the Park.
How do you see as far as the difference in the cuisines from where you've come from and how service almost is in New Orleans, both on the service side in the front of the house, but also how you're able to produce refined dishes, but in a homey manner?
You know, New Orleans has come a long way in different aspects. New Orleans, when I left, it was an extremely rustic town with a lot of depth and flavor. And now we are, I hate to say this, but I'll be very honest. New Orleans always feels like it's 10, 20 years behind everybody else. So now we're catching up with the finesse of what the whole entire industry does. It has been marked as one of the best cities in the country to eat. Now that we're starting to have the finesse and we have the depth of flavor that we already had with the immense amount of seafood that we have here. I mean, it's probably one of the best, if not the best place in the whole country, if not the world, the best place to work.
Yeah, I think moving here, I kind of fell in love the first time I came to New Orleans with its food. I came from Jersey, and when I was 12 years old, I came out here for the Final Fours. And it was the first time I tasted food and realized, like, wow, there is flavor in food, because my family didn't really grow up cooking. And since, it was always trying to source my way and find my way back to New Orleans, because New Orleans kind of just gets its fingers in you. It, it grabs a hold. And I think it's a big part of our community and the culture, but having such a presence with food, it's, it makes the city special. There's not a lot of other cities that can speak about it that way. You were talking a little bit about the dish, and back towards your Chef Chris, you were talking a little bit about the dish and towards your Venezuelan, you said, heritage, or what was that?
Cuban. My father was Cuban, and original family came from Spain. So.
And then is that like what you attribute some of the spices that you added today?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I lean on my heritage more and more every day. Yes, the spices, the depth and flavor. Spain, to me, is probably one of the best places in the world, not only to visit, but to eat. It is fantastic. You just don't get the depth and flavor that you do in many areas of the world that you do in Spain.
How about the next generation, the next generations of cooks and chefs? How do you help them learn about these other cuisines, the incorporation into your food, and then kind of like get them to that next tier?
Well, in New Orleans, I'd be very honest. I mean, we're much more fortunate these days than we have been ever. We used to always just find New Orleans food, but now the culture here is we are expanding so much. It's unbelievable. You have places like Mr. Miles, Miss Shirley, which was just up here. There's so much more ethnic food in this city. It's inspiring. It's incredible. It's a joy. I am personally somebody who looks for more ethnic food, and now New Orleans shines more than ever than I've ever seen with the ethnic food. So if they would just, most people who are coming up these days, take a look around. You can find almost anything in this town these days to really inspire you, to really motivate you, and do more for you.
Yeah, I think with the Bocuse d'Or and the different competitions that we have, but there's a much more national spotlight that's on New Orleans that seems like more than ever before, which is just great for the city for being able to build in that influx. And like you said, New Orleans kind of being behind, I still think that it's just such a part of the food and its culture that those next steps and those next stages forward, you don't lose touch with what actually is the heart of New Orleans. There's a lot of that flavor, a lot of that, you walk in a place and you feel like you're home.
Absolutely. And I think, to me, the more cultures you have in a city, the better off you are. The more rounded you are, the more you'll see. There's nothing better. When I lived in Los Angeles for a long time, that was probably the thing I loved the most. The more, there's so many different cultures, there's so many different experiences. You're not just set in one place.
And gazpachos, you don't really see that around too much. When you're putting a gazpacho out, do you ever feel that there's certain dishes, like a gazpacho or something else that's seasonal, that you can feel anxious or nervous about producing?
You know, at first when you start to serve it, I agree with you. Gazpacho is kind of a funny dish. Some people will order it and some people won't. But then you got to be, as a chef is smart, you have to be smart enough to put the things with it. If you put jumbo lump crab with it, I mean, at the end of the day, most people are going to try it.
And seasonality with crab meat, it can start getting tight more towards the winter. And I'll see from a food service perspective that we have a lot of clients that start leaning towards Venezuelan crab. Do you make a pivot during the season, either going to head more towards crawfish when crawfish season starts opening up more, or how do you balance when product is getting tight in your restaurant because of seasonality?
We never serve anything besides Louisiana. We are homers to our brand, you know, and we just stick with that. If we don't have crab, there's at least 7 or 8 other Louisiana products that we can use that are fantastic. Even though the crab is peak season between August and October, it's usually beside the month of March It is usually available. You just gotta pay. And if you're gonna pay for great product that's Louisiana, I'm willing to pay.
Yeah.
And most people in Louisiana are.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think that speaks a lot to the Louisiana Restaurant Association, right? And
Absolutely.
why you're here. We had Miss Shirley earlier, and we had Dookie Chase. It's just throughout generations of cooking in various styles and restaurants within New Orleans. It's staying true to Louisiana and staying true and really being a part of the city, because you're sourcing and being able to be sourcing for Gulf shrimp and making sure that you're using Louisiana crab, which is hand picked as opposed to Venezuelan, which would be machine picked. It's keeping those families, those generations. It's working with the nature and the opportunities that we have to pull from, far greater than other establishments that don't last as long.
Yeah, and one more note on like what we were saying. If you're getting something from another country, freshness is the key, right? So if somebody picks it that morning, I'm getting it that afternoon. If I'm getting it from another country, they're gonna pick it, they're gonna have to ship it, then somebody else is gonna have to get it, and then I'm gonna get it. I don't want that. I want fresh. I want that morning. Like, I have so many fishermen that call me that day and say, hey, I just got this tuna. I took off the boat this morning. I know you'll take it. And that's exactly what I want. That's what I'm looking for.
I don't want to leave the crowd out. Do we still have any questions or thoughts on the gazpacho itself?
Thank you.
How do you pick up a cold dish? Sometimes cold is hard in the palate. With something that's warm, your palate opens up. You can taste more. You had mentioned marinating. Would that be vinegars or?
Yeah, I mean, like, you marinate it, let it sit for a while, and then all the flavors develop, and you kind of mix it from there.
I guess I don't know how much more I got to dig into and ask, but I'm a little bit curious about with the seafood, that between like snapper and drum and redfish, sword and mahi. Do you have a favorite type of fish that you work with from Louisiana?
I wouldn't say snapper. I would say snapper is probably my favorite. Quite honestly, we can't buy Louisiana redfish. Redfish is by far, you always have to get it farm raised this week now. And K. Paul put it on his menu, made it so famous. It's so difficult to get it now from Louisiana. But if I would say anything, redfish to me is one of the best fish to serve because it stays moist for endless amount of time. It's fantastic. But at the end of the day, snapper, the white flaky fish that you get from snapper, be able to crisp the skin that you can, the bold freshness you get from it is fantastic. And if there's a 1A or 1B per se, it's gonna be tuna. Tuna that we get this time of year, tuna is a summer fish that they get from the Gulf. You have to go several miles out for it. But when you get a tuna, you bring it in. I personally, if I'm fishing for it and I get a tuna, I'm not gonna make it all the way in before I'm cutting it. And I'm gonna eat it right there on the boat. I think it's the best thing, fantastic. And just recently, I was actually in Mexico. We caught mahi the same way. It did not make it back to shore before I got there. So, I mean, I like food like that.
And I'd be remiss if I don't have our wine pairing be spoken about. I'm going to pass it off here to Rosie.
Hi, I'm Rosie with Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits in the Fine Wine Division. We have Terlato Family Vineyards here with the Pinot Grigio, and to piggyback off of what they were saying about the gazpacho being a unique dish, we have a unique Pinot Grigio to pair with that. So most of the time we think of Pinot Grigio as being a light aromatic patio sipper, whereas this one's going to be a little bit more full-bodied, a little bit crisper, just a little bit different. So I really think that the acidity plays well with that summer melon, and the minerality really brings out the sweetness in the jumbo lump crab. But I really hope you guys enjoyed.
All right, thank you guys. Here we go.
I have a question for Chef Chris. Where do you find and how do you find inspiration on your menu at Ralph's? What do you go to find that inspiration, to find that seasonality, and how do you build a new menu each season?
Well, let's just say, I've always been a kid that I think I've defied the odds and I've had a chip on my shoulder. So I've always had bad hearing. I've never made good grades. And I've always just want to keep on trying to be better every day. These days, it's so much easier than ever has been. Inspiration comes from, I spend endless hours looking on the internet, Instagram, other items. But I will say the most inspiration I personally get is going to the farmer's market, going to a fish place, and going somewhere like that. If I'm at the farmer's market and I see an item and it's fresh and it just screams to me. I mean, I am literally walking by it and it's going, Chris, Chris. And I look around and I see it, and I'm like, good God, hey, hi, how you doing? And it's so beautiful. And that's where I get my inspiration by far. Going to the supermarket, but really the farmer's market. If you love food as much as I do, or just love just being around food, go to your local farmer's market, participate, buy stuff, and then just get there and just see the freshness of what it is. And for me, every day when I go there, it brings joy. It's like a playground for me. It's Toys R Us every time I go to the farmer's market.
Any other questions for Chef? All right, let's give Chef a round of applause.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Loved every minute. That gazpacho, that's gutsy. Because you're right, like people aren't going to order a gazpacho, but like if you put something that they're familiar with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We sell in our
It was
restaurant.
amazing.
Thank you very much.